ಸಾವು ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಖಚಿತ. ನಾನು ಸಾಯ್ತೀನಿ, ನೀವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಸಾಯ್ತೀರಾ. ಇರೋದೊಂದೇ ಬದುಕು. ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ? ಬದುಕು ನಮಗ್ ಬೇಕಾದ ಕಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿಲ್ಲ.
So Sahadev, how did the story of Kenda come to you?
To talk about Kenda, where it started, it's quite a long story, but then to keep it brief, I grew up in the 90s in Bangalore, and in the 90s in India, in fact, we heard a lot of we would hear constantly in the news or in the newspapers about political turmoil, social unrest, and these kinds of words. I didn't really know what they meant back then, but as I went through college, as I read more, I started to understand what these words meant and what it meant for the people that existed back in the day. As a kid growing up, these words only meant you didn't have to go to school that day because there was a bun of some sort. So I was really curious about that aspect of life, as to what the people who go about their daily lives feel about these kinds of situations. Are they just like thrust into situations that they don't have control over, or do they even know what's happening politically and socially? That's kind of where the idea of Kenda stemmed from. And then I want to concentrate telling the story about the people who go through life who don't necessarily have control over these situations, in society. They're going about their 9 to 5s, they're the working class, so to speak, who are kind of the pillars of society, because they kind of make society function in a way. I wanted to kind of explore their lives in these situations. So that's kind of where Kenda stemmed from, and then it evolved into what it is right now. It evolved into being a lot of things. But yeah, in a nutshell, that's kind of where my Kenda journey started from.
The process. Tell us a little bit about the process of making Kenda.
Process of making Kenda. As a writer-director, my process started quite early. Writing the script took a while. It went through many iterations and went through a lot of drafts. Finally, when we felt like it was production ready, we started thinking about actors, and then we were always sure, and I was always sure, that I want to cast actors who are not necessarily in this for just for the limelight per se. They needed to be serious about the craft of acting, and we found them. There are so many of such people in Karnataka. We went to lots of spaces. We in fact went to Gulbarga and found some very interesting actors there. The theatre space in Karnataka has some incredible actors who basically committed themselves, dedicated their lives to the craft of acting. So we found, majority of our actors through that process, and a few we found through references and things like that. The protagonist, B.B. Bharat, him and I went to engineering school together. So that's how that happened. We've been working and making short films and working on many film-related stuff for years. So, and we've been talking about this script for a while, Bharat and so he was apt for the role of Keshava, who plays the protagonist in Kenda. And everyone who came on board as collaborators and actors all joined the process as people who wanted to still learn more about the space. So we spent a lot of time in rehearsals. We spent a lot of time at the start of day on every day of shoot, talking about the characters, talking about the day and stuff like that. So the process of Kenda was extremely fruitful, very demanding, because I ended up doing multiple jobs on set. I was the director as well as the cinematographer. Thankfully, I had a great crew to support me in that process. All in all, it was a highly exhausting and also amazingly fulfilling experience.
Coming to the music, in the trailer, a lot of people have been appreciating your music. And I hear that, Mr. Jayant Kaikini also has written the lyrics for your film. So a little bit about the music.
Sure. The music of Kenda is by Ritwik Kaikini. Ritwik, people will see when the film comes out how incredibly talented musician Ritwik is. He's also a really good guitarist as well as a composer. He has worked with other composers leading up to this process of debuting as a music director. But then he comes into the process without any baggage of already composing something. So that outlook to compositions it gives Kenda such a fresh look on the conversation between drama and music. That was our intent from the get-go, was to not have any references per se, where we didn't want the film to sound like any other film, but also then root ourselves to what the story is about and what the character is, because it's such a perspective-driven story. The camera is such a POV, almost voyeuristic in its existence, that the music also needed to support that and at times also push it over the edge. So I think Ritwik has done an amazing job capturing these kinds of moments on screen. To come to Giant Sir, that collaboration happened almost, I would say, by chance, because Ritwik was composing and I think Giant Sir happened to see one or two of the scenes. And there were two potential spots in the film where Ritwik and I had discussed that there could be some lyrical poetry, almost poetry, montage-driven musical elements in there. And then it just so happened that Ritwik, I think, composed the tracks to these spaces where lyrics would only amplify the drama in there. So the first, obviously, the next organic step was to go ask Giant Sir if he'd be willing to take part in this process, and he was more than willing. And in fact, just the first conversation itself, in just normal casual conversation, he ended up blurting out like long stanzas of lyrics that ended up making it to the film. So that process was, like I said, like working with a legend. So you got to see, oh my God, there is a lot more learning for us to do. So incredibly thankful for that collaboration to have happened.
Great. Thanks.